Hi, Greg Hughes here from 90-Second Website Builder. I want to talk to you about a navigation tool in this software called the Overlay menu. Now, I'm using a demonstration page here that I want to use for explaining how the Overlay menu and showing you how the Overlay menu works. But before I put this object on my page, I want to explain something about the page itself. I've designed this page with what are called layout grids. And I won't go into the weeds on how that works because I have videos about layout grids, but I'm telling you that so that you can see when I preview this page, the reason it's going to respond to the browser width size like this is because I have built it with layout grids. So a layout grid is just a way of building a responsive page. And so I have a grid up here where I have a logo, where I have some navigation, I have text in this grid, etc. So all of these objects are in different layout grids. I'm telling you that because it'll make more sense as we move on. Right now, I'm using this particular navigation tool, which is actually called the responsive menu, not the same as the overlay menu I'm about to show you. The responsive menu works like this. When we preview, you can see that on the desktop size of this page, when it's at full width, it shows this style of menu. But the responsive menu knows how to respond, hence its name, and switches to a hamburger style menu, which is what this is called, so that when you're on a tablet or a smartphone, it responds this way, vertically. So that's where we get that responsiveness. It knows, it's smart enough to know when to switch to the vertical style and when to be at the horizontal style. So that's the responsive menu. And again, I have a video about that tool. What I'm about to introduce to you is something that's different and yet similar. It's called the overlay menu. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place an overlay menu on this page. I'm clicking on the tool and I'm just going to drag it into this little corner here, drawing a little box. And you can see what I'm drawing is the actual hamburger menu because that's what the overlay menu is based on. It actually creates the menu for us. Now, if I was going to do this, I would eliminate this navigation because I don't need both. So I'm going to go ahead and delete that now for the sake of demonstration. And we're going to use this for our navigation instead. A little bit different purpose. The hamburger is actually always showing whether we're at desktop or not. Let me double click on it and show you a couple of things first. I want to change the style or at least the color so it matches my background. So I'm going to double click on it and I'm going to go to the style where I can change the background of this to be the same color as my grid right there. So I'm going to click on the background color. And I'm not sure which color it is, so I'm going to go ahead and use the more colors. Click the dropper and get this exact color with my dropper like that. Click OK and OK. And there. Now it matches a little bit better. Now let me show you how this actually works. I'm going to go F5, which is preview. We're going to bring up this page now with the overlay menu. Instead of the responsive menu up here, I'm just using the overlay menu. Here's what it looks like. When you click on it, it creates what's called an overlay. Now you'll notice that there is some navigation here. This is default. I haven't edited the navigation yet. One of the things you'll notice is this is a unique style of navigation because it actually fills the screen with what's called an overlay that's semi-transparent. You can control the color and the fonts and icons and all of these things can be controlled in the style, but I want you to see the functionality of it. Now, why would you do this? One of the greatest uses of this tool is mainly for your mobile sized pages. Now you can use it for desktop if you want, but if I shrink this down to more of a mobile size, you probably recognize having seen this style of navigation on a smartphone. So I'm going to the top of the menu. There are some submenus and sub-submenus that work like this. That's what the overlay menu looks like. And then to close it, we click the X box and it goes away. And by the way, you'll notice that it closed with an animation. I'll try that again. Let's open it up. Here's the menu, the navigation system. Click the X box and watch it close. It's closing with an effect called sliding doors. Kind of a fun tool to work with. Let's dig in a little deeper and see how you configure it. Basically, I just drug it onto the page as you saw. You can double click on it like anything else and go to the settings. This is where I would create the navigation. I'm not going to spend time updating my navigation here, but obviously you don't want to use the default because this is just a demo. But when you drag yours onto the screen, it's going to have all these things. You're going to want to change these to match the navigation of your website, obviously. But let's go more into the style where you saw me change the color earlier. I can also change the effect of the overlay menu, the animation that was sliding door. I can change that to something else. If we wanted to just drop down or fade away or do sort of this newspaper spin, we can do any one of those things. I'll change it to newspaper so we can see what that looks like. There's a lot of things for you to play with here I won't go into because most of this is obvious. It has to do with the colors and the text styles, the font, padding around it, colors of the text, colors of the icon. Those kinds of things can all be set here. It's pretty easy to do, whether you have a border or not, how white it is, etc., etc. You should be familiar with some of these settings, and this should be pretty self-explanatory. Let me just click OK, and we'll look at it one more time so you can see what that different animation looks like, because that's kind of fun. So there's my little hamburger icon. I click it. You'll see that the overlay did this funny spin called newspaper, and when I close it, bring it into the camera here, when I close it, it'll go out the same way. So you can have fun with that, playing with that. It's very simple to do. All we did was we drug this out onto the page. You'll probably want to put it up in the top corner, either the top right or top left of the corner of your screen, because that's normally where people are used to seeing that little hamburger. And then double click on it and configure it to your heart's content. It's a great little tool to use for navigation when you're building your websites in 90-second website builder.